Pop it onto the stage. There we go. Hello, friends. So the stream is live, recording is live, everyone. FYI.
True. Welcome one and all to debate night. It is being streamed. If you wish not to be a part of stream, don't join or ping us, and we could probably censor some shit. We have a few good topics tonight. The first one will be: has the American experiment failed? Sophie, I'm sure you have some feelings on this one.
You're hilarious.
Of course.
No, thank you. I didn't know you were going to be okay with this because it's pretty. This is pretty heavy.
I thought it was a great topic. Okay.
It's a deep question.
What can I say?
Gonna do a little Fed posting right now.
You don't have to Fed post. Okay, we could just say that Sherman was right. Okay, when he went down to the south, and from it's not to the river to the sea, but it's from like the capital to the sea. He just burned everything down. Okay.
Exactly. No, I'm gonna say yes. I think it's
Okay.
pretty obvious that yes, the American experiment has failed. Not to say that it's not salvageable, not to say that we shouldn't try to save it, but I do feel like it's either safe to say it's a failure or that it's on a irreversible course toward failure. So that's definitely my position. I just think if you look
All
at
right.
any metric, like literally any metric, um, that's the Constitution or the guardrails or separation of church and state or um,
True.
literally anything. The pursuit of happiness, all men are created
Oh
equal.
damn.
Uh,
Mhm.
the fucking Articles of Confederation, even you go all the way back to that if you want to. Like
T-
nothing is
1 second.
sacred at all. Yeah,
To
go
step
ahead.
in for a second, this is a open topic, so if people
Absolutely.
do have opinions, please raise their hands to answer Tripon. Okay.
Yeah, come on up.
All right. Let's turn the 10 minutes now. I guess to give a little background for mine. Um, oh, it failed. Fuck. I would say up until recently, I would be on the side of it hasn't failed. I kind of viewed it the way you would like a younger sibling or some shit, where like they might do some fuck shit and make mistakes and stuff, but at the end of the day, you might think that like, they have a good heart at the end of the day. Like they're always like there's some good intent behind it or whatever the fuck. And until recently, with the whole Alex Paredes shooting and shit, it just after that, I'm just kind of like watching a U.S. citizen get shot after they get like disarmed and beat up, and nothing fucking happened. Oh, it is. It's like I gave it the benefit of the doubt, and I'm just like left with the doubt. So I'll say like I'm in like a middle position here. But Trib, what do you have?
So I'm gonna do some waffling first. I happen to work in a field where the definition of experiment is a very relevant topic. And our overall impression is that it's a really terrible word because it has a million different meanings to a million different people.
For true.
So
Yeah.
I would argue that, most experiments, they can't fail. They can only produce, positive or negative results. Right? They can either prove or disprove a hypothesis, right? That's generally the point of an experiment. And I think that the fundamental theory that the founders had that, liberal democracy was the correct approach to governing people was confirmed. I think that was a correct hypothesis. So I would say, in that case, the fact that liberal democracy existed and was exported to a bunch of different countries around the world, I think that was a success of at least that initial American experiment.
Yeah, I mean, I've like heard that definition for like self-help and stuff of like don't take things as like a failure, as like take them as like learning experiences, so like an experiment or some shit like that. But like at the same time, is there no way that you could use this word like let's say
so the word that we
alternative
alternative
like what's the word, reality, like 10 years from now or some shit, the fucking US collapses because of all the corruption, all this shit, and a bunch of people die. Like would you not say that's like a failure, or like do you see how it could be like used in that sense?
I mean, I would see that as a failure of like the American project or the American, government, basically.
Okay.
Um, which I don't think the U.S. government has failed yet. I think, the
Yeah,
Trump
that's why I say like
administration
alternative
hopefully will
history
fail.
10 years from now, whatever the fuck. Yeah.
But like at the moment, the electoral system still exists. So the system, I don't think has. I think it's failed to meet every possible metric because you can basically keep inventing metrics until you find one that fails. Um, but as people say, right, democracy is the worst system except for all of the other ones. Right. So like I don't think we're doing in terms of human rights, we're still doing better than China. Um, we're still doing better than you know lots of other autocracies, right? We're still doing better than Russia. So like I don't know. It does suck that the
Yeah.
U.S. is falling away from being a liberal democracy. But I
Yeah.
don't think that's a strike
Basically,
against liberal democracies. I think that's a strike against the U.S. as a country right now.
basically to have a debate, is there any world in which that you could say that an experiment has failed in this sense of the word?
I mean, so
So,
to me, I guess an experiment failing would mean that you, I guess, failed to make it a clean experiment. Um, right? Like you're doing, you tried to prove or just prove a hypothesis by running an experiment, and you failed to control for a bunch of confounding variables that ended up making your results worthless, right? And I think in this case, when we talk about America's experiment, we're speaking much more metaphorically, right? We're talking about it like we're not doing, double-blind clinical trials,
yeah,
right? We're
exactly.
creating
Yeah.
a government. So I don't think, as a metaphorical experiment, I don't think it really can fail in that
Mhm.
way because like nobody's trying. You can't do double-blind government control trials. I mean, we might try in Minecraft later. Like actually in Minecraft, that's not the meme. But
True.
like in terms of like to the extent that it was a poli sci experiment, I think it produced positive results, and
Okay.
I think it was set up well to the extent that it could be.
I'll I'm gonna send it over to Sophie here in a sec. But if anyone else has a feeling on this topic, please raise your hand and we'll get you up here. Sophie, go for it.
Yeah, I just think it's kind of ridiculous to assume that everyone would be coming from that lens and to disregard uh, the fact that experiment semantically can mean something to you, of course, but that generally it most likely means something similar to the majority of the population. So if you look at it in the sense of just trying to understand what it is a person is trying to convey with that sentiment, uh, it seems odd that you would choose to then shoehorn it into your very specific and niche and narrow viewpoint of what an experiment is. And honestly, even if we were to look at it as sort of a poli-sci scientific anthropological experiment, I mean, would we say that Rome, the experiment of Roman governance, was a success? Or even going back to like Egyptian societies or Athenian societies and things? I feel like if they're not here now, I
Yeah.
can understand what you mean, like, that, that, they did produce, positives and net positives in the way of knowledge and culture and traditions that probably still, surface today, but ultimately, these things don't exist, and so I would venture to say that, the way that our current democracy has evolved to where it's even capable for us to achieve a unitary executive, for us to literally vote in our own fascist overturning. I think, I don't see how we come back from this enough to say that the experiment that the forefathers initiated is salvageable. So, I mean, 20 years from now, like, what do we I don't think it's gonna be the exact same uh, blueprint that was given to us, and I don't think that's a bad thing, to be honest with you. I mean, the initial blueprint gave us slavery and having to fight for people's civil rights,
True.
from Black people to LGBTQ people to women. So I mean, it's literally, um,
Yeah.
I think, a system where you have to claw and scrimp and scrape for the bare minimum, attributes for humanity is not necessarily one that should be salvaged in its existing form. So, I mean, not only is, in my opinion, and I think the general population who understands what the word experiment is trying to convey definitionally would say that, you know, this experiment has failed. And, I think where we go from here next is the more important question, not necessarily, again, arguing in Jordan Peterson style over what this fucking word means.
Yeah. Well, I'll
Also,
throw it
I don't
over.
want to
I'll throw
I
it
don't want to
back. One
argue
sec.
about
One
what it
sec.
means, but
I'll
can
throw it
you
to
give me
Trip.
the definition you're using so that we can? I
One
think
sec. One
that'll
sec.
help us move forward.
I'll throw Trip. I'll throw it to you, and then after that, I'll try to. Well, I guess if you're gonna ask her a question, she can answer it, and then I'm gonna throw it to almost. But yeah,
Yeah, sure.
sorry. Say
Sorry,
the
I
one.
do want other people to talk, but I think it would help everybody if Sophie did. So I'm not going to disagree with your definition. I just if you can give a definition, that would be helpful.
We'll just experiment as in a framework or a set of rules of governance. The Constitution, the fact that it was meant to be a malleable living document, and it was basically, I don't think we've had a new amendment or article in quite some time. The difficulty of enacting those things. Um, it it was almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy that it wasn't capable of demanding the changes that it said were okay to occur. Like it says, if you don't like this government, you can change it. You know, you're allowing you to have the right to bear arms so that you could form militias to change it by force if necessary. But how have those things actually played out? So just long and short, I think experiment means a framework of rules, a framework of governance. In this case, I think it again how most people think of the American experiment.
Trip. Hello. Okay,
Oh,
there.
I wanted to give other people a chance to respond.
Oh no, like that was pretty directed towards you. I'll say like
Okay,
I'll let you have your response, and then I'll probably swap you out so these two can start talking.
sure. I mean, yeah, I think I have realized gradually that the word experiment means something different to everybody else. So I think that makes sense for this context, for the context of the American experiment. Um, yeah, I mean, we have had a lot of constitutional amendments. I think I forget when the last one was. It has been a while.
Well, the last one was
You know,
supposedly last year when
I guess
the women's rights amendment was supposedly told.
voted on.
They said not even a vote, but he told the the librarian of Congress or whoever that it was a real amendment, uh, even though it was sitting there for like some 30 years. So technically, I don't know what the status of it is in actuality, but technically the last one was last year. But again, that took at
All
least
right,
some 30 years to enact.
Trip. Final
That's
thoughts.
fair. Do you have changes to the framework that you would make um, that aren't, I don't know, like to the existing, like that, yeah, instead, like, that are within the bounds of the current system, right? Not, completely replacing it with something new, but like in terms of at least, small to medium changes that you would make that you think would help.
All right.
Well, is it fair to
So,
go into this? I don't want to
Yeah,
monopolize
I
the
don't want to
conversation here.
overrun time too much, but I am curious.
yeah, yeah.
We can talk about it
Um,
later.
I'll throw it to Sophie, but yeah, I'm probably gonna rotate you out. Trip.
I
Thank
mean,
you for
well,
coming up.
sure. Like honestly, like I do this little thing called Sophie's laws. And they're ridiculous, but they make sense. Like so one of the laws I would do is I would make it where you can only vote on something if it fucking affects you. So if you're not a woman, you can't vote on abortion. If you're not, gay, you can't vote on things that affect LGBTQ people. If you don't have children or if you don't, like literally it's like
Yeah.
everybody gets a vote, but you can multiply the amount of votes your vote is weighted given how
Mm,
closely you align with who's going to be affected by a particular
the
bill or
policy
measure.
or
So
how it
that's
affects you. Yeah.
yeah, that's one thing. Another thing, I would absolutely demand that all men have to get vasectomies when they come of age. All of it. You're
Damn.
you're
Okay.
required to go to a sperm bank and give up the goods, and then you got to get a vasectomy. That would eliminate the need for any abortions. That would eliminate any sort of childhood or teen pregnancy. That would eliminate like so many issues, so many
Mhm.
things. Like if you're raped, you don't have to, at least you don't have to worry about getting pregnant from that. So that's one thing. So again, I can get as ridiculous as possible, but honestly, the real thing would be like even if we did some kind of ranked choice voting or just something to take away the fact that so many people can, because it's a majority, can impact people who
Yeah,
they
yeah.
don't even have anything to do with. So
I'm gonna throw it to almost, but goddamn, Sophie, I could have a debate topic about like you like name off like three different things. Like I could have a whole debate just about this fucking thing right here. But I'll throw it to almost. What's your feelings on the topic right now of has the American experiment failed? Go for it, almost.
So I think so. It's not going far enough. I think when men turn 18, they should
Oh
play
my
with eunuchs.
god.
they should what?
Okay, we have a
They should
different debate.
what?
That would lower crime rates. That would lower crime rates, I think, by
Yes.
like 80%, because there's less testosterone.
Thank
Just
you.
saying. Okay.
I propose that we
But
have a
also,
registry of all like yes, go
Oh my
ahead.
god.
Go ahead.
Okay. Almost go for it, please. Take us back on track,
okay.
almost,
Well, that's
please.
me. Okay. So, I think the American experiment has been successful if you're a
Okay.
white man.
Okay.
It's what, like 250 years almost, where if you're like a white dude, things are pretty cool.
A rich white dude.
That's pretty good as far as but that's pretty good though as far as like uh republics go. Not the
Okay.
longest in history, but it's by far one of the longest. Especially maybe the longest modern one besides maybe Britain, depending on the way you slice that. So let's say it's been pretty decent, I think, for the most part. Once again, though, that's the asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. If you're black in America, Voting Rights Act was less than 100, Civil Rights Act was less than 100 years ago, so that's pretty rough. Not a very good long run. So I would say that, but, I think as far as the age of governments goes, like 250 years is pretty old. Most modern governments we think of as being old, like say for instance China, is what like 70 something years old. It's not very old.
Mhm.
The French, the French Republic, I think that's also less than 100 years old. So as far as republics go as a system, I think the United States has had a pretty good run. Once again, as long as you're like a white dude. If you're not a white dude, not as good.
I guess
That's
to
my
be
opinion.
nice. To be pedantic for a second would mean like that for other people like it hasn't failed because it's like not made for them, or like what is your take on that?
So I was kind of measuring it as historical comparisons to how long a system of governance has been reasonably stable. And I
Okay.
think the United States system of governance has been stable for quite a while. But of
Okay.
course, I think it also matters who the class of citizen is that this institution is built for.
Okay.
Mhm.
And once again, my asterisk there was Civil Rights Act 1960s, so it's not as old as you think it is. So I think
Um
that as a system to its, you'd have to define it by who the citizenship is of the republic.
okay. Uh I don't know enough about history. I'm sure some people, if they knew about like fucking China or some shit, I swear it's in like the same region or some shit, but just controlled by different people, but it has like roughly the same outline. I have no idea, but like that shit's been going on for like
They
2,000 years where it just like keeps reforming and breaking over and over again. But,
Yeah, I mean it is, but that's a group of people though, not a system of governance. The system of
true, true.
governance has been like very unstable for the past 200 years. It keeps going back and forth. I think
Okay.
current China is probably the most stable China has been since like the last 200 years because it's been historically very unstable in the recent history.
Okay. Throwing it to Glaxon. What's your
Hey
take?
guys.
Hey.
Just a couple things. Well, two. I think when we're talking about equality and rights for different people, I think it's a little weird to say, but I think it's not. It doesn't go against our system of governance or our constitution because I think since our constitution is so amendable, we do have the amendments at the end of the day. We do have these laws at the end of the day. It might have taken like however many years it's taken, but slavery is no longer legal, right? We have the Civil Rights Act of 1960 or whatever year, right?
Mhm.
Mm.
I think I do understand that there's an asterisk on that, but I think for the most part, like having an amendable constitution is what gives us that strength of being able to be around for so long. As far as the experiment's concerned, but for the debate topic, I think I have a slightly warmer take than you guys. I don't think the American experiment has failed yet. I'd say we're pretty damn close. And I want to go over through the preamble of the Constitution and just kind of run down what points they were trying to make and see if we have failed in those points. I'm going to go a little out of order, but it'll make sense. So I'm going to go from like bottom to top. Ordain and establish formally authorizes the Constitution as the supreme law. Trump has kind of thrown that out the window, so that's failed, right? Secure the blessings of liberty, protects freedoms for current and future generations. That is on its way out of failing, if not failed already. Promote the general welfare, supports the health, well-being, and prosperity of the population. We can't figure out a decent healthcare system to save our fucking lives, and we're executing people in the streets. That's pretty not prosperous, if I had to say so. Provide for the common defense, protect citizens through a national military. I don't know what we're protecting overseas right now, and again, we're kind of attacking our own civilians. Ensure domestic tranquility. Establish justice, ensures a legal system that protects rights and enforce laws fairly. Obviously, with the whole Supreme Court thing, and we can just ignore whatever rulings or TROs or whatever. That's out the window. Form a more perfect union, aims to create a better, more unified government than the previous ineffective system. Very clearly, we're failing. But the last point, we haven't failed yet.
Okay.
And that's why I don't think we have failed as an experiment. We,
what's
the
the last
people,
point? Okay,
establishes popular sovereignty, meaning the government's power comes from citizens, not states. We still have, for now, a functioning electoral system. We still have free and fair elections. And that's one of the core tenets of what democracy is about and what our system is about. And assuming we can stave off whatever the SAVE Act is supposed to be, we can somehow still try to course correct in wherever direction we're going.
Yeah, true.
Well,
I see where you're going with that. With like, I think Destiny talked about it too. Of just like, maybe the electorate is just voted these people into power, and that's what they actually want. And like, you kind of have to just come to terms with that. With like, there's just some part of the population that is just like retarded or something, where it's just like, this is the will of the people, and it's just like really goes against everything that we thought America standard
the
for. But
idiocracy.
Sophie,
Yeah,
Sophie, you're gonna say something.
100%.
Go for it.
I was just gonna say, even the last point that you're saying hasn't failed. I'd put it to you that even that one is a failure, because isn't the SAVE Act even on the table because Trump has declared that we do not have free and fair elections? As far as our ability as a people to actually enact change, like, honestly, what's crazy is isn't January 6th isn't January 6th kind of evidence that when people get together to try to change things, that doesn't work, that didn't work. Also,
I would agree with you. Oh, if you have more to say, go for it.
well, I was just gonna say that, also the fact that when you talk about the electorate, and again, I hate to say this because it's always me being sort of the gloomy doomer, but like, Trump does not listen to Congress now, and it's 100% Republican, or both houses are controlled by the Republicans. So what difference does it make if Democrats do win in the midterms, if he's just going to ignore them harder? Like, I don't understand where we think we still have I'll leave it there. What were you going to say?
I think for January 6th, you would have a point if Trump succeeds.
But that's what I'm saying.
because
He did
Joe
succeed.
Biden,
He did succeed.
for
He
2024 he did,
he
and I
Put it
know
another
his
way.
he delayed the vote.
right.
Uh,
Right. That was the intention, and that was achieved.
Well,
So
We're gonna
the
go into closing
intention
statements, by the way.
was to throw out
No, you're fine. You're
the
fine.
the slate of electorates and
and
substitute a new one to get him elected. So the ultimate goal failed. So I
Okay.
partially agree with you, but Joe Biden was still elected with
Claxton.
no
Any closing statements? Closing thoughts?
yeah.
I
So
I shared
No. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Claxton.
I shared a lot of the doomer sentiments you guys do, but I think assuming, right? God willing or whatever willing, right? That uh Dems are overwhelming in the midterms and they can figure out some kind of way to get this course corrected,
Mm.
then I don't think that there's a failure. But we
All
got
right.
pretty close.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah,
I'll be
thanks for
cycling
having
you
me.
out. Yeah. All right. Almost. Closing thoughts.
yeah. So real fast, as something for a preamble about what I said before. That was if I meant to forgot to say this. This is if it was to fail tomorrow. Let's say the tanks roll in tomorrow. I still think that the American experiment succeeded because it had a long history and it was pretty good for a while. Once again, with those asterisks.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I will say that why things are looking bleak, they're not over yet. I think no matter how bad it is, it's important to get things in perspective. Even America, with the way we're going now, if Trump got everything he wanted, it still wouldn't be the most authoritarian. It would be competitive authoritarianism, which I say you should read up on. There's an Atlantic article, very, very good,
Okay.
where it's kind of a traditional, like a transitional between a full authoritarianism and
Mhm.
electoralism. It's
Okay.
authoritarianism with some forms of electoralism, so that's why it's competitive. So
right.
even if we do fail, I think it is to caution that there are still worse forms of governments, all things considered.
Thank
That's
you
all.
for giving your thoughts. All right. Any new faces? Last 10 minutes for this topic. Ulysses has taken the ballot.
Taken forever.
Okay.
I know. I've
Go for
unlocked Selfie as I came in.
True, with the child.
I was like,
The
you know
debate
what?
tactic.
She brought in her child. I'm
Oh
about
my
to bring
God.
in the baby.
Oh my
But no,
God.
That is a
no.
cute kid, yo.
It
Yeah,
is. Go for it, Ulysses. What's your
no.
stance?
So my stance, generally speaking, is I think we're in a different time, and the Constitution is something that like forever molds. So I think oh hi, Shh. I think one of the things that we're kind of looking for here is like things change very dramatically all of the time with a lot of different in a lot of different areas for each different president. So Biden shafted a lot of stuff through for us, and that shit to us was very great. And now Trump is coming in, he's really testing the system. I don't really like it. I think he's like breaking a lot of holes in the Constitution, but I don't think we've gotten to the point in which like we're failing. I have like little like uh 1/4 of me that's like little hutch pilled, where it's like the system's holding. It's like the bull has basically like beaten out like a hole in its cage and is like fiddling with the lock, but
Mhm.
we're still holding. Like if they like take over the midterms and they like subvert it in some way, I'd say yeah, at that point the system's probably failed, and we'd probably have a call to. We'd have a different thing other than a CTA. It wouldn't be a call to action. It'd be a call to arms, but not to Fed post here. But generally speaking, I think we're generally speaking a
Everyone was
little bit
right.
fine
Okay.
here. We're just like everything's just a bit scary, and here we kind of are.
Remember, Sherman's right. That's all you gotta say. Okay. Go.
Listen. She will be the embodiment of Sherman for the entire DGG people. Okay.
Based. Okay. Your thoughts, Sophie?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Like I too have optimism in me still, believe it or not. I mean, I'm here, I'd like to think a very active member of this organization, which, is doing its best to put into action and to effectuate the things that we want to see changed. So I obviously I believe in the democracy and liberalism, and that's what I do want to see succeed. I guess I just feel like if we go into this with our eyes shut and take a little too much hopium, that we will miss the fact that, we have to look at people's actions, we have to look at trends. And at present, we're in a situation where we effectively have a unitary executive. This man does not give a shit about what Congress. He just started a war, a whole ass war, without
Oh,
even checking in with Congress. I mean, even before that, he invaded Venezuela and stole their oil, kidnapped their president, checking in with Congress? No, the oil magnates. Not so, like, literally it's there's no thought to what Congress wants, what Congress says. The only time he actually consults or wields Congress is to further tighten his grasp on the unitary executive, like he's going so hard about the SAVE Act because that will essentially allow him to, um, discredit and put so much more subversion into our electoral processes. So it's just saying all that to say, and that's it. I don't mean to be a doomer, but I think we need to keep our eyes open. And also, let's look at history and see how, this has played out in the past, and try to take notes on how to make a difference, considering how this has already happened to Native Americans. This has already happened to Black people. This has already happened to so many marginalized groups that have been, railroaded by the system, and now that it's happening to the majority, let's look and see how, the people who have been marginalized have been subversive with this and try to enact those same things. And again, not in a Fed posty way, but by using our voice, by, continuing to protest, but also continuing to, like you said, put steps into action. uh, yeah, it's not a call to arms, just a call to action. So hopefully we can win in the midterms, bring it around, put in articles of impeachment, get this dude out of here. But then it's still that we're left with this system that has been so abused and bastardized. Again, it was put into a position and beat into this position of the executives or the executive, branch continually grabbing and grabbing and grabbing for power to a point
mhm.
where this is even possible for someone like Trump to come in and blow through these norms. Okay. All right. So that's what she's got it.
One of
So
them's
She's like,
fucking with the camera, the other one's fucking with the headphones. I like it.
yes.
Jeez.
But
She's like,
that's
let him speak, okay? Let him respond.
she's like, "No,
Go for it.
no." But that's
Yeah,
it. That's
mommy,
really
you've
it.
been for the center of attention for too long. Okay, it's
Exactly.
time for me. Okay, no, uh, no.
Exactly.
Listen, I kind of agree with all of this. The only thing I will say, and I kind of wanted to jump in based on like what I was hearing.
Mhm.
Number one, we did have an amendment prior to the Equal Rights Amendment. I think it was back in '96 or back in the '90s. I want to say it was like '96 or '97. I think it was the most recent amendment that we passed, or that was on the Constitution at the time. Does it take a long time for that to happen? Yeah, because it requires everybody to get to a consensus. Not to mention, it takes 37 states to also ratify that exact same amendment.
Mhm.
And then it requires a, what is it, the Continental Congress or some sort of like delegation of everybody to come together and ratify that amendment. So there's a long, long process for this.
Mhm.
Um, do we wish it would be faster? Sure. But that's only if we beg into authoritarianism where we get like an actual unitary executive, where it's not even a unitary executive anymore. It's just a czar or a authoritarian
Authoritarian. Yeah.
dictator like Putin
Jinx.
or Xi Jinping or yeah, yeah. Well, I'll get you a Dr. Pepper later, okay? But no, the
What?
um,
What was that reference?
it,
No, we
it's
both
like
said
Jinx, you owe me a
authoritarian at
soda.
the same time. That's all.
Yeah, yeah, no.
Oh, okay, okay.
Uh, yeah, no.
Oh, base.
Yeah, yeah, I know you want attention. But the like I think we're just okay. We should be vigilant. That's why like as like a Wisconsinite We're like outfunding the Republican candidate
Nice.
10-1. But even still, I'm getting people out there to phone bank. I'm getting people out. I'm literally working within the local DNC to
Fuck yeah.
get people out there to like canvass and vote and everything. Talking with like local chapters, even within our schools and universities to get people through. So just keep out hope. This democracy is still there. The American experiment is there. Is it more expensive? Hell yeah. When everything doubles in price, I entirely agree with you. Shit gets weird. You took out my camera, you
I
little.
love how this is like totally unintentional, but we almost kind of did like a themed like bring your child to debate night day.
This is the babysitter. Okay, look in front of the screen and do go towards the light. But no, everything's like, I think everything's okay. I think the experiment is there. Everything's just there's just been a massive paradigm shift from when we were kids, and we're just not getting accustomed to it yet.
Yeah.
Also, we should, Sophie, you and me should talk about you and me creating the eunuch party where we slice off
That is crazy.
everybody's, we just take out
all the
we
bits,
just vasectomize everybody and turn them into
Jesus.
eunuchs. Like
all the
dawnless
bait and
mother-
tackle. Yeah, I want it all.
the bait and tackle?
Yes.
Are you saying like we should vasectomize and then just put them on like a fish hook or something? What the fuck?
Yeah, I'm saying
Alright.
the strap is a thing. You know, everyone is designated a strap. There we go. So
That's a whole that gives a whole new word to I'm strapped. Okay, that's fucking that's wild.
Docking that I wasn't ready for, but okay. Like, all right.
You don't need it.
Like, what's
you don't
going
need
on
them.
here?
Why do you need it? No,
How do we go like full circle where like we've turned into like
Because we need to end on some humor, okay? We need to all laugh and then just die of laughter.
like, yes,
It's
the
like,
American
okay.
experiment has failed, but we
We're
can cut off
against-
people's
we're
dicks.
against,
Yes.
you know,
The American experiment has failed. Every man, slice off your dicks. In a video game, in Minecraft.
For democracy. Yes.
Don't worry. She also says, I agree. Okay.
Yes, indeed.
this is the weirdest
Keep
fucking
her
horseshoe
safe.
of like being against.
Keep her safe. Exactly.
True.
Well, that horseshoe is about to become a circle in about 15 seconds, so don't worry.
Jesus Christ. Okay. Because yeah, I'm like fucking. So we're against general mutilation, but now we're going full fucking eunuchs. What? I have no idea. What is
Well,
this
I
party?
don't know, man. What about circumcision, man? The country's
Yeah.
so fine with
Wild,
that.
okay.
Well, we should have a debate
Okay.
topic on that. Yeah.
Oh, apparently. Okay, we already have Trib ready to debate mandatory castration.
Mandatory,
Already
yeah.
got locked. Okay.
God, I just played
Is
like
he for or
Three
against,
Kingdoms
though? That's
2.
the question.
I
I
just
think
watched,
he's against. Go ahead.
yeah,
Go ahead.
I was just
Final thoughts.
watching Oversimplified's thing on Chinese history, and it was literally like talking about eunuchs, and I'm like, oh god. When Sophie brought this up, I'm like, oh god, the dongless boys are back.
Oh
Jesus
my God,
Christ.
Douglas.
All right.
Oh
Next
my
topic.
gosh.
But thank you, Ulysses, for coming up
Yes, I will
Alright.
walk back down.
and
I will walk
somehow
back down.
making a bring your child to debate night. I wasn't even trying to do that. And we already did it.
Oh gosh.
The next topic. Does the left exhibit just as much racism and sexism as the right?
I love you so much. Do you know that?
You know, these are some. Okay, you brought them up, and I'm like, these are some great topics. I love these.
I didn't think you would like be feeling them at all. Like, so
I
I'm
wouldn't
really.
listen to my co-host. What are you saying right now?
I love you. Thank you. No, like, because honestly, it's been a thing for so long. Like, it's been like, okay, all right,
Oh, no,
and
now it's
there we
gone.
go. So that'll just stay there.
yeah.
Here we go. All right, so no, it's been this thing for a very long time where
Yeah, give
you
your
know,
take, and anyone
it-
that wants to come talk it, topic.
Yeah,
anyone
come
who
on
wants
up.
to come talk, raise your hand. Yeah, give your
I'll just
take.
say that I am in the affirmative. I do believe, yes, that the left does exhibit just as much racism and sexism. Now I'm not going to say as much. I'll say maybe a different form, but yes, there is racism and
Ooh.
sexism on
A
the
different
left.
form. That's wild. Oh,
Yeah, for sure,
Oh.
for sure.
okay. I was hard to go on the other side. Just as much. I was like, just as much is crazy.
Yeah, just
But
as
I
much
do
as
think that
crazy.
modifier of just saying like a different type of. I get the sense too, and Destiny's talked about this, where it's like if someone's like openly racist towards you or mean or some shit, you can get it. But it's when someone's like they are racist but they're hiding it, and I would hate having to deal with that. That just sounds fucking horrendous.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, both are bad. Yeah, it's like what Kai just said. Microaggression's more apparent on the left. That's exactly right. Like it's overt on the right. They're very, upfront with it. Nick Fuentes literally just claimed it. Like, yeah, I'm racist.
Yeah, yeah.
So like,
All right.
and has he lost a follower? Has he had
Yeah,
any
yeah.
sort of ramifications from that admission? I don't
We'll
think
start
so.
with
Yeah.
we'll start with KMav. What's
Hi,
your take?
K-Mav.
Great to see you again. What's your take?
It's like a
Hello?
different format.
Say that again.
Are you I can't hear you if you're talking.
All right.
Hello.
Good. Yeah.
Yes. All right. But it's definitely a different form, and I feel like I don't know. It feels like this innate desire that lies within every person to be racist, homophobic, sexist, whatever. Like,
What? I do not have this. I
Yeah,
don't
I don't
know.
know.
I do not have an innate desire. I'm gonna be honest.
no, that's
I was
what I'm
not
saying.
programmed with that. Go ahead.
It feels like on the left, but you can't channel it out into the common fields, right? So you can't be racist to black people overtly. You can't be anti-gay generally. You can't, say women belong in the kitchen. You can't do that because then you lose social capital, right? But you can kind of sneak it in certain things. So, for instance, you can be xenophobic towards, and when I'm saying the left, I mean like socialists. So
Mhm.
um, you could be like the Eastern Europeans were barely sentient and were cleaning the German horses' cocks, and
Okay. Elevator
you
pitch.
know,
What is your take on this topic of the left being
no, that's
does the left
but
exhibit just as much racism and sexism as the right? Elevator pitch. Please.
all right. To shorten it, I feel like they the yes, I
Okay.
think so,
Okay.
and
Okay.
the reason why, and they sneak it into they sneak it into the polls and certain valid targets. So,
Mhm.
like not every, no bad tactics, only bad targets
Mhm.
and stuff like that. So, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Well, we'll see if anyone almost. What's your take?
So I think
Wait,
that
wait.
there's
Hold, actually. Hold almost. I think Galaxian was in here first. Galaxian, what was your take?
Um, my take overall is I think it's not true the left is as sexist and racist as the right.
Okay.
I think when you get to the far left and far right, I think they're pretty comparable, but in different categories. Like the anti-Semitism on the left is fucking crazy.
Yeah.
And some of the sexism has gone a little crazy as well. And then once you get more center left, I think a lot of center left leaning people typically understand more about racism and sexism in society and whatnot, so they and are typically pretty against it. I am actually curious though. I know Kai's not in here.
Yeah,
I'm
she's up.
curious to
Kai is
hear
right. She's right
the.
below you. She's right
Yeah.
behind you.
Oh my god, I can't read. Um,
he's listening.
what?
It's the
Like what
fucking.
exactly the microaggressions that we are talking about? Because
She's here
when
right
I
now to answer it. Go for it,
yeah,
Kai,
like
if you want.
because when I hear
Get him,
like
Kai.
the left and right are equally racist and sexist, I just don't understand where that take can come from.
Oh, okay. I will this is like probably my biggest gripe on like the left. Um when we talk about like the microaggressions, a lot of the arguments, especially back in 2024 elections, right? That I had from the left is that they didn't feel like she would be like a good leader,
She wasn't
right? She
electable.
didn't feel was an electable, right? The far left would bitch in and talk about how there's identity politics, but you only see that going towards people like Harris, for example, right? And most recently, Jessamine Crockett, right? They like you'll see this within like the far left. What they'll do is they hate the sentiment of how we campaign, which is going to like other races, to like see and to garner like their vote, right? I think after the Jessamine Crockett and the um
Tellerico? Yeah.
Tallarico election, I
Tellerico!
had a couple.
Woo!
I had a couple people that are Tallarico supporters that were like, "This proves that we do not need you. We don't need the black vote because of this election has shown that, right?"
Mhm.
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 So it's like the left is pretty blatant about it, right? A lot of Bernie bros, and
Is that the
yeah.
far left or is the center left included in that as well?
The
I've
left.
seen a lot more. I've seen left or far left do it. A lot of the center left would use that I've come to talk to and stuff like that are more about the um uh like the softer tone and like the hesitancy of being approach like um th- Harris being approachable, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Same thing with like Crockett. Like the main issues I've seen with like their issues with Crockett is she approachable, right? But then they don't mind the fact that they like go against Trump and there's like very, very angry towards them, right? But like it's used
Okay.
as like a utility at the end of the day. But yeah.
All right. I
So
do
I
want to get
guess
almost in here for 1 second. Almost.
okay.
Your take.
So I think there's two kind of distinct kinds of racism to break down first. First is like the zeitgeist, you have the conspiracy theory, your populism. I think the left is probably just as susceptible to the populist bullshit as the right, from what I can tell.
Mhm.
Well, less so, but still substantially so, I think.
Okay.
I think that that's shown with the Gaza thing was very surprising to me. I think you had a lot of people become anti-Semitic very fast in a very surprising way that I was not expecting from the left wing. Mind you, this is mostly far left, so this isn't like, center left people, granted. So it is very different. But I think that's still a section of, the left, populist left, which kind of displays the same kind of like populist zeitgeist, where you kind of jump on this bandwagon to find the bad guys and, happens to the Jews a lot. Seems like it's kind of going that way again. Not a fan of Israel, but is a little spooky. When it comes to more, I think like actual like personable racism, I think the right is 100% worse. You can look at studies that measure openness to
Mhm.
experience. Generally, the left that's one of the high selecting factors for the left is openness, which I think is almost the inverse of racism. So I
I will
think
say.
yeah,
I will say. After that pager explosion stuff, I love Israel. Okay, great state. Okay, just put it out there. But yeah.
actually, okay, never mind. I'm not saying anything to support
Yeah,
it.
no, go ahead. Sorry, this is just a
Okay.
meme. Go for it.
Yeah, all good. But yeah, so I think that when it comes to more actual like discussed racism, I think the right is 100% more apt to that. I think when it comes to misogyny, it's also a little bit more even, honestly. Uh, I think there's that meme between the private public property distinction between men and women when it comes to left wing and right wing, and I feel like to a certain extent that meme's kind of indicative of feelings.
Mhm.
Uh, but of course, I think that the biggest thing for misogyny is probably, your age. I think it's probably even more important left wing or right wing because, holy shit, looking back, even like 20 years ago, people were really misogynist. I think that's all I
Yeah,
gotta say.
true. Okay. Well, this seems to be a very lively topic, but I'll rotate everyone out. But I'm sure if no one else comes up, we'll see you all again. Any other new faces for the next 10 minutes? I think Ulysses. I think he put his hand up. Fuck. Where'd he go? Was he gone? There he is. Let's go.
There you go.
Sure, sorry. I have to switch
Go
them
for it.
up because I have to put a daughter to sleep.
True.
So sorry, I could only use the one trump card once. I could grab my son. He's over there, but I wanted to go to sleep. Um,
Yeah,
Listen,
what's your
I have
take?
two kids, okay? Okay. So I think generally speaking, I kind of agree. There is kind of there's a bit of like racism and sexism, but it's more so it's like there's a lot of id pull. Whereas like Republicans, it's like id pull plus like derogatory id pull bullshit. So it's like there's like and whenever that shit happens in the left, there is instant pushback. So like I remember back in 2016, you had Pete Buttigieg, and you had I think Hassan called him Pete Buttigieg,
Hmm.
and instantly you had a lot of people push back and say, okay, that's just homophobic.
Hmm.
Shut the fuck up with this bullshit. And to his credit, he was like that. He basically like pawed himself off, and he was like, okay, I won't fucking do that. And he just made an excuse like, no, it's not actually homophobic, but like he basically like took on that. Like he didn't say it directly, but instantly, I don't think he ever really like went back on. Now, have they been like attacking him more? Yeah, they've probably been attacking him on like what was it, the Vanguard saying like he looked like a rat or something.
Hmm.
But at the very least, there's no like homophobia behind like calling people rats. Otherwise, or like animal names, unless we were talking about like Mitch McConnell calling him like a tortoise or something.
Okay.
But all that being said, I think everything like the left is just like it is. We are homophobic. We can be homophobic, or we can be like
Hmm.
racist to some extent. But I feel like we're like identifying the race of those people and then just like trying to prejudge how that's going to like pan out. Like Obama going through what he did in 2008. The fact that he was charismatic enough to overcome the racism that the Republicans were chucking in his face is exemplary. I don't know how like Crockett could have overcame that in like Texas necessarily, especially if somebody like Cornyn or Paxton came out and like immediately started throwing id poll. Because once lefties or even like liberals start talking about identity poll, we're basically fucked. Because then we just go down culture war issues and we don't start talking about the actual issues we want to talk about.
Okay. I'll throw it over to Trib first, and then might get back to you. Trib, what's your take?
Yeah. Let's see. I guess I'm gonna try and set some tent posts out. So I guess
Okay.
when we talk about like how do you measure how racist people are, right? You can, and I think in terms of racist actions, I think like significant racist actions, I think the right has been by far, especially in recent years. I'm not gonna, you can go back in history and find whatever you want, but like especially in the recent years, like the right is the one that has a political machine for locking up, or yes, locking up anyone who looks vaguely, non-American and deporting them as soon as possible.
Yeah,
Um,
that was a crazy thing. Good.
and you can argue about the incarceration system, which was also largely a product of the right. I think that was mainly Nixon's thing. The crime bill was a whole thing, but that that had bipartisan support and it also had some support in Black communities, is my understanding. So it's a little hard to evaluate whose fault that is.
Mhm.
But in terms of like actual legislative actions that are racist, I think the right has been winning the race by far in recent years.
Okay.
In part because I keep getting power. So I guess in terms of that's the most concrete measure I can think of. In terms of interpersonal relationships, there were a lot of people who we've seen their true colors recently, right? Especially like all the tech CEOs. They were all in on DEI for a while, and now they're like, actually, I'm a real man, and I don't do any
Mhm.
of that DEI shit. And I assume if there's a Dem president, they'll probably go back to playing nice for a little bit, especially because most of their workers are pretty liberal. But
Okay, so you'd say like no, the left doesn't exhibit just as much as
I mean,
sexism, racism as the right.
interpersonally, I think you have to take it person by person. But I think as a political entity, their recent actions haven't been anywhere near as racist as the right.
Okay.
I think that it hasn't been. I think the issue that I've seen within my community, right, is that we have this thing where we recognize Republicans are worse, but the harsh like relationship that we have is that the left does not want to like engage that maybe our experience is a lot of the microaggression. So they right even though, right, like you guys are just like in the Democrats, um, as much as like we want to like basically recognize that there is a major difference, it's just the left tends to not want to acknowledge it and want you to change it, right? Or even push back against the ones that are doing the microaggression. I think that's a major red flag to a lot of like communities like me. Um,
Yeah.
it
I
just
have a
this is yeah, that's like my last take on that.
okay. I have like a question for like the panel and for everyone in the audience and stuff. Okay, let's say let's say someone who bashes on gay people is found out to be gay. Is it homophobic to attack him on that?
No.
Well, what's your take, say, Sophie? So no? Okay.
No,
Trib,
I think
what's your
pointing
take?
out
Or yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
hypocrisy that's all. I think
Mhm.
pointing out someone's hypocrisy is in no way homophobic.
Okay.
I think it depends on how you do it, right? Like if you start calling them a cocksucker, I think that's kind of homophobic.
But
But
realistically,
if
who's doing that when especially from the
Hassan probably.
left? Well, especially from the real left. The actual leftists, not the fake
I don't know.
Most
Would I
leftists.
agree with
popular
Hassan on
secular
that? I don't
Christian.
know.
Schrodinger's leftists, yeah.
If someone's
Oh.
if someone's like bashing on gays and stuff, and it's like, because in a weird way, it's like you want to like hurt the other person, and so if you think that they think this is a bad thing, like that's where my brain goes to of like wanting to hurt them through that because like they just the pure hypocrisy of it. But
Right.
then, am I agreeing with Hassan of saying like saying homophobic shit to gay people? It's so weird. Go ahead. What were you
Right.
saying,
It's like
Trip?
the whole Vosh tactical misogyny bullshit, right? I think calling them hypocrites is fine. I think, insulting, like calling them anything that you would also just call a normal gay person is probably not a good idea.
Okay. How about you, Ulysses?
Uh,
God damn it, almost.
Listen, as somebody from the Midwest who's happy to like insult people with any like as long as they've like on like full tank bore and also we'll pull that as a bisexual card. I
Mhm.
think it's fine if you want to pull full steam ahead, go for it. Like every time like I look at like Republicans like talk like there was one where there was a guy who was in front of Congress and I think the Senate and he was talking about his experience and stuff or like he was like sitting in front of somebody, and I think it was Secretary Ken or Senator Kennedy that was up there and trying to get him to like quote mine the liberal, and I think can't remember I think it was like a 30 or 20, 30, 40-year old, and like Kennedy comes out and says, "You make me want to gag," and the thing that literally popped in my head was the only reason that he would ever make you gag is if the metaphorical dick was so far down your throat. But like, no, that would that's just something that instinctually like comes to mind. But as long
Okay.
as you're not like targeting them for being gay, whereas like you're targeting like something where like if they're so loyal to their like position or they're so loyal to Donald Trump that they will remove all principles,
Mhm.
I'm fine calling all Republicans right now like basically bureaucratic belchers,
Mhm.
which is it. If you look it up, it's I won't say it here just because we're on stream, but if you look it up, it
Children.
is
Yeah,
like it
children
is
wrath.
some really it is a wild it is a it's not like homophobic by any means because anybody can do it, male or
Mhm.
female, but I will say
Snow
it is
blowing, yeah.
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
but just just don't target them for being gay. Target like what they're doing as like basically something that's very disgusting to me. Like
Okay.
if you're a Christian, basically call like if you want to, you can call those people gay. I'd be fine with that, just because it to them it's insulting to them. Whereas like if you're liberal, like or like if you're like a communist, say they're like, oh great, you're just for the rich or something, and then
Mhm.
maybe that'll piss them off or something.
Okay. Kyle,
Yeah,
any
I think.
thoughts?
Okay, okay, go ahead.
I don't know if they want to chip in. Otherwise, you can go, Trib.
Come
Yeah.
on, fight me.
I'm just gonna Ulysses, you might need to mute. I think there's also a difference in like who's doing it, right? Like, I mean, because for one thing, like Jews make fun of each other all the time. Gay people make fun of each other all the time. Sometimes if an out group is doing that, it could very easily become homophobic. I mean, you see it the most with like the N-word or the F slur, with black and gay people respectively.
Mhm.
And I think that's also at play here, where it's sometimes hard to, especially when somebody from a different community is around people of that other community, it's hard to pass out where the origin of them saying things that would be inappropriate in a different context comes from, right? So that can get messy really fast. But yeah, when you're on like the national scale and everybody's talking to everybody else, I think it's in everyone's best interest to keep the discourse to stuff that would be acceptable in mixed company. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
So
All
It's
right.
got to
I'll
be
leave it there.
tactical in nature.
Thank you all for coming up. We go on for the last 10 minutes. Any new faces would like to join? Speak now or forever hold your peace. I'm trying to think. It's like
I'm new, so
you're new.
You're
You want
so
to give your take
new.
on the
You're
last
so
topic?
green.
what's the last topic?
Or not the last topic, but the
That comment about
question I posed.
if it's
Someone who bashes gay people is found out to be gay. Is it homophobic to attack him on that? To like point out the hypocrisy or like kind of like shame them for like, hey, you say this thing so bad and yet you do it yourself.
It honestly depends how you say it, right?
Okay.
Like, I would
So it's
probably
the
make the
almost take of
argument.
what if you say it non-derogatory?
Well, to me, it's like, what is like the message, and what is like the overall like purpose and the reason why you're saying what you're saying, right? Like, I don't.
I mean, I get that. Like Destiny's talked about this before, where it's like um, making jokes about something and then realizing that the person next to you isn't actually joking, they're serious. They're like, no, I actually do hate women. And it's like, okay, like it's funny for a bit, but like when people actually then generally do start believing it, or they like, oh no, this is how I actually feel. It gets really fucky. But yeah, I get what you mean there.
Yeah,
I
for
think
sure.
it's like generally
Almost.
important
What's your
to
take?
be
Go
careful.
for it.
Yeah. So I just think it's like generally important to be careful with your language. I think an example is, I used to use the B word more. I didn't use it a ton, but I used to use it more than I do now, which is almost
The
never.
B word. I'm so
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
I don't know if I'm out of the loop. I can think of like 3 different words. What B word?
Okay, yeah.
Do you
Female
mean
dog, bitch.
bitch?
Yeah, yeah.
Bitch?
Yeah.
Yeah,
What?
no,
Yeah.
no. I want
Well,
to
do
be
you not
specific. Okay.
know?
Okay, go
So
for
a
it.
lot of men.
Uh-huh.
Okay. A lot
No,
of
go for
men
it.
would use the word bitch in a derogatory way towards women.
Yeah.
That was very apparent. Yeah.
uh-huh.
Yeah.
I
No,
didn't
here's the
know.
thing though, like
Go
not
for
even
it.
like towards women, just like I think in general, just as if you're a dude, like calling anything a bitch in a negative way just comes off as misogynist. So that's
Okay.
kind of the reason I stopped using it, kind of took my vocabulary, unless I'm talking to my wife and we're messing around. Because
Damn right.
obviously,
King.
got to put her in place. No, because she knows I'm
What the fuck?
serious. She knows. She knows that we're cool.
Yeah, I'm cool like that with my wife. My wife.
Yeah. After I'm beating her, of course. Oops, never mind.
Puta.
Jesus.
But
Go ahead.
but anyways though, but like yeah, I just think there's like some words you should probably never say in an offensive way, and I think like it's probably okay to say someone's like you're not making fun of them that they're gay, you're making fun of them that they're portraying their people basically, I think is a way to put it. Like
All
they're
right.
throwing their own people under the bus, which I think is different than quote unquote making fun of them because they're gay. And like for instance, like I don't think you should like ever use any kind of like personality trait, someone's race, someone's sexual orientation in any way that's negative under any circumstances, really, because I think there's really nothing to come good of that. Of course, you can have like a comedy a bit, and if it lands well, and comedy is, now no longer illegal, whatever. But I think just generally speaking, like you should almost never, I think, use anyone's like personhood in a hateful way.
Okay. Oh my god. Okay, but okay. Can we insult anyone on anything? Like, can we say a negative thing about a person? Like, how can I insult someone?
I mean,
Like if I say they're dumb, that's like an inherent thing of their intelligence, of their genetics and IQ, and it's just, go ahead. What, please? How can I
Oh,
insult someone?
okay. Someone being dishonest, someone being treacherous, someone like lying, someone you once again being dishonorable. Like, for instance, if you're gay and you make fun and you throw gay people under the bus,
Uh-huh.
you're basically, that's something for treachery. That's not because of some kind of immutable characteristic. And once
Okay.
again, I said, like if it's comedy, it's one thing, but obviously a lot of times, especially when we're talking about politics, you probably should be careful how much comedy you try infusing in there, because then of course you get to that
If
place
you
where it's
want,
like, are they
if you
just
want
kidding?
to like,
Go for it, Kai.
if you want to insult someone, in my opinion, get creative. If you truly like hate the person and want to insult like the person,
Mhm.
like get creative with it, right? Like the orange meme from Trump is actually pretty funny, right? Like it's now considered an insult towards Trump, right? Like I don't know, just be
Orange
creative with
man
it.
bad. True.
Yeah.
But,
Okay,
like,
okay.
let's be so for real too, like, honestly, this entire conversation, I feel, I'm sorry, is missing the point a bit. I don't think that, name calling and litigating name calling is as serious
Mhm.
as like, it's a very narrow pivot away from the broader conversation of the racisms of the left and the sexisms of the left. Um, whereas, like, I feel like, like, the question was asked earlier, like, "Okay, well, what do you mean by that?" Again, I don't think it's the same kind of racism or bigotry, 'cause it's not just Black people, it's bigotry, it's hatred
Mhm.
towards the other, and that extends to gay people, that extends to trans people, that extends to immigrants, so, yeah, if we just wanna look at that general hatred, I feel that the way that the left tends to exhibit that is it's not at all in name calling, it's not at all in these overt things that the right is more associated with in their bigotry. I think it's
Mhm.
these systematic and systemic issues. I think it's these intrinsic issues, these implicit biases. That's where the real danger of all this comes in. And I wanted to say, like, when like Ulysses, I see you're coming up, but
Mhm.
one of the things that has always irked me about voting is like as soon as people get that I vote sticker, they're done. That's it. They're done. They've done something. But,
Yeah.
but there's still so many, opportunities to volunteer, to, help out in your own community, to, get ready for the next election, to do some phone banking, to like, there's so much more to even just the political side of civic duty, than just going in the booth. Same with fucking thoughts and prayers, "Oh, I pray for
Dude,
you."
fuck
That
that.
that
Yeah, yeah.
it's
Mhm.
it's it's this vacuous dismissal, or
Mhm.
acting like you're doing something when you haven't, and that to me is what the right being so racist and bigoted has afforded the left. So I think that because we absolutely and factually can say that yes, the right is way more racist, way more sexist, way more transphobic, Islamophobic, literally all the isms, way more than the left. It absolves you. You voted, you've prayed. It absolves you
Mhm.
completely of having to interrogate your own implicit biases to continue DEI work. It's almost like I felt like there was a sigh of relief from white, in particular, like white leftists when
Mhm.
Trump started attacking DEI and having to study Black history and stuff because it absolves you. You no longer have to do the
Okay.
work. And I think that's where Kai and myself continue to see these microaggressions, these um, n- you know, like people leaning into their implicit biases about entire groups of people because they no longer have themselves to look at in the mirror. They can always juxtapose their feelings against what's worse and how at least we're
Yeah.
better. It's like a superiority thing. So I mean, so not to like get away from the whole,
Well,
homophobic thing, but I think that's included in if we can address the
Yeah.
larger issue of implicit biases.
Yeah, yeah.
I
I have a
think
question. I have a question for you for that, but I'll hold till after Ulysses. You can
Sure. So I wanted to just
give your
jump back
take.
in here because your question actually just parted the heavens once again
Red Sea.
with
That's
the
good.
whole gay thing. Literally, Aaron Schoch was a Republican out of Illinois. And I forgot about this until that question hit. And this was literally a closeted gay man who was voting on anti-gay gay legislation. And then it came out that he was gay. And I specifically remember this because it was like, holy shit, here's like somebody who's literally gay, but you're voting against what would assumably be like your in-group preference here. So like I think it would be fine to start making fun of this guy. Not maybe not doing like throwing like slurs and shit, of course. But at the very least making fun of him like at the like, okay, wait, hold on. So you were play acting as a straight man, but you're actually gay. That's pretty bad. Or like throwing I feel like Destiny may have even like covered this a long time ago back in 2020, but I have to go back and check. But like I agree about like the microaggressions to keep on topic. I think with the microaggressions, it needs to be explained in a better format than how it comes off generally speaking. So when the first concept of a microaggression came for me was when I was listening to the Destiny, listening to the Z stream,
Okay.
his first interaction with Z and
Oh yeah,
the
yeah. I remember.
microaggression scandal, and that was like, oh, okay, hold on, like there has to be a balanced way in which to like talk to somebody where it doesn't come off like microaggression to me almost like immediately was like when you hear the word patriarchy in that exact same tone and then like for some men it's like okay here we go because it basically like turns off floodwaters like as long as you're talking about hey like you might not be as racist as Republicans but there are things like that you're as long as you're coming up at this with like a question or as long as you're not like inherently doing something that is like a microaggression or maybe even describe a microaggression without describing a microaggression that would be fine as long as we
Okay.
don't like as long as we don't do pull like what happened with Z where it was just like cringe and not anything else.
Okay. Almost. Do you have some closing thoughts?
This is like reawakening my memories of my cringy 2015 skeptic community era.
Mm-hmm.
That's all.
Is that it? Oh, that's all. It just awakened. Nothing else. Nothing else to be concluded. I have been awakened. All right.
To be continued.
To be continued. All right.
To be
Thank you
continued,
all.
yes.
Thank you both for coming. I think it was the last 10 minutes on it. God. Okay. As I've like learned more about like debates and
I
shit.
do want
Or go ahead, Kai. Go for it, Kai.
I do want to eventually. Sorry,
Mhm.
I do
Yeah,
want to
go for it.
eventually get like a panel of like of color and black people in one panel. I think that this like that last question and conversation would probably be the most interesting for like a lot of folks here.
Yeah, I'm down to.
Of, like
Or
And
the
if you
maybe
want to do that.
perspective on
productive. Yeah,
the left.
constructive, exactly, like
Yeah.
yeah. I think it's like, what's so funny is even when Ulysses is talking about that senator, um, like, that is still part of systemic bigotry. Like, if it weren't inherent and replete throughout American, culture that gay is bad and to be manly means XYZ, and if, just the stranglehold the patriarchy has on what dictates our culture and what it means to be a man and whatever else. Like if that didn't exist, he wouldn't feel that need to, be in the closet, denying
Mhm.
his human feelings and emotions. So
Yeah.
it's not just that I wish we would address systemic bigotry to help black people. It's literally any and all marginalized groups. So yeah, it's not just that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Um, I had one question. Okay. We'll probably have more than that, but trying to say this. Oh, that's what I was getting. It's learning more about debates and all that shit and having to mediate between people and stuff like that. Something I learned is like having a falsifiable like belief or some shit. Like your position has to be falsifiable, which basically means like it can be like disproven and shit. I
No.
think that's my main gripe with like implicit biases and all that shit is that it feels like some people take it from the other side where it's unfalsifiable. Like you always have implicit biases and there's no way of like disproving it at all.
I mean, that's the issue with like racism. Like I
Mhm.
can tell you, hey, this was really racist. And
Yeah, yeah.
like it's like an emotion or a feeling. Like I can't tell you you don't feel sad. I can't tell you
Yeah,
you
yeah, yeah.
can't tell me I didn't experience or feel like I was being treated in a racist fashion or that I didn't have a microaggression,
Yeah,
thrown
yeah.
at me because that's just it's literally just the vibes. So so I get where you're coming from, but I think it's almost one of those things where we have to take that sort of psychiatrist perspective and just assume emotions and feeling spaces to be true, and move forward from there. Like just believe that when somebody says this felt this way, that that you can interrogate it as though that's just a fact. So that's maybe that's the way to move forward when you're faced with that issue of not
Yeah,
having like a verifiable way
yeah,
of
yeah.
confirming that. Like just
Okay,
okay,
And
let's
to add this,
yeah, go ahead. Kai,
go for
sorry.
it.
to add on to Sophie's point, there's like reasons why, and like within the Black community, right? For like a really good example of why a lot of Black men will always believe Black women, because we know statistically and society wise, right? Like Black women tend to be at like the most disadvantage, right? Um, because they believe on like the women's feelings and stuff like that. Just like keep in mind as well.
Wait, sorry. Could you
Um,
say that again? Black men, what about women?
a
I
lot
don't.
of Black men, especially within like the left,
Uh-huh.
have always said that like they will always believe Black women.
Oh, okay.
This is like a really good example to Sophie's point, because a lot of Black women are like at the most disadvantage, like statistically wise,
Mhm.
and just society wise, like historically. So that's a really good example of how they can progress as like a movement, like within like the Black movement, if that makes sense. Um,
Sorry, but it's not
No, I
even
guess like to my
yeah.
point, I guess to like my point, it's like someone could just be like, uh, I just have like I can't understand this thing because I have these implicit biases, and there's no way of engaging, I guess, at that after that point. Like I can't like disprove implicit biases, and it's just like it just feels like a I don't know how to move past that point, basically. How to like that part.
You don't know how to like engage with that. Is that basically what I'm getting at?
Yeah, like if someone wields that of you have these implicit biases that you're not even aware of, and there's no way for me to like ever get rid fully or be like fully aware of all of them. Uh, like I don't.
Well,
Yeah.
so the way that I would expect people to like engage with that is more so entertaining that, right? Of like, well, that's interesting for you to say. Can you explain why? Right?
Hmm.
yeah, and don't take
Because
it
there could be a
personally.
blind spot there. Yeah.
Yeah, I think another thing is like as soon as somebody of a marginalized group, because I'll venture to say it's not just Black people. Like when Kai
Yeah.
was bringing that
It's
up, I
not.
was thinking about how so many women aren't believed when SA or grapes happen. In reality, like if you ask these men who say, "Oh, I didn't act on this because I thought she could have been issuing a false report or whatever." The
Hmm.
instances of false rape allegations is something like 1%. It's like a fraction of actual
Yeah.
rape. So even with just women, again, even with literally any marginalized group, it just behooves us all to believe that the experience somebody is conveying landed on them in the way that it did. And so when you're asking, how do you, really address the implicit bias, there's not a way to literally sit there and interrogate every single one until it comes up, until it's presented to you like, hey, you came at me like this and it really felt like this, like just
Yeah.
hear that. And again, don't take it personally, like nobody's calling you racist. or nobody's
Oh
calling
yeah.
you a misogynist, but for somebody to lift this up to you and then you either ignore it or you say it didn't happen or you gaslight them of it, then yeah, that becomes like a indicator that your character probably
Yeah.
is along those lines. But
To clarify for me,
yeah, go ahead.
I had 4 older sisters growing up and stuff, and so like, uh, and I don't know, like my mom's basically like the head of my house and all that shit, and when I would like interact with the content like that, or just like in general, where it's like, oh dude, I remember fucking I had one of my English classes, we did like a little debate thing about like the fucking pink tax or some shit like that and stuff. And I just remember being like dismissed where it's like I just have implicit biases about like towards women and stuff, and there's like nothing I could do about it. And it's like I grew up with like 4 older sisters, like I respect women so fucking much, like I care about them. Like I don't know why, like I don't know how much I could be like I don't like I see women as being equal. Like dude, all the shows growing up for me at least, like Avatar, all the shit. We had great representation, and just like women could do like fucking anything and stuff. And like, yeah, just it feels like a way of just like ending the conversation with like, and there's like no way of like interacting with it, I guess.
Well, what's funny is like even marginalized groups have implicit biases. Like I literally
Yeah,
saw
yeah, yeah.
this really interesting TikTok the other day where it was a black girl with natural hair. She said, somebody asked me how long my hair was when I straighten it out or when I let it out because she had it in like a bun like this or whatever. And she said, it's about here. And then she was like, wait a minute. When I let my hair out, it's more like this. So she's like, I wonder why I don't say, if you ask me how long my hair is, it's about this long? And I was like,
Yeah,
dang, that's wild that even something that tiny it's just evidence of how deeply like just the white beauty norms have us think that longer hair has to look like it's here, and
yeah,
not here. And so
for
just
sure.
something that simple just reveals to me even like that I still hold on to these standards of beauty, these standards of what's right, what's good, what's better, what's superior based on this white Christian nationalist underpinning of America proper. So I mean,
Hmm.
yeah, it's all of us. We all have these things, and I think the more we all confront them, the better we'll be. I don't think
Well,
we need to be afraid of that.
sorry to be an
Yeah,
ultimate
yeah, go ahead.
skeptic and shit. Technically, we don't. I think like the only things we start out with is like a fear of heights and like maybe an ability to float. I think as like a child, that's like the only things that are like truly ingrained in humans. And I feel like everything else has to be basically learned. But I could be wrong with that. That's at least what I remember. But I know you have more studied in this area and stuff. But I get what you're saying of if we live in a society and culture and shit that what's the word, propagates these things of ideas of like sexism and race and all this shit, then basically everyone already has it like implicitly factored into their brain because it's like taught. So it's kind of hard to escape. Yeah. All
But it's
right.
taught.
That was a
It's not
great.
just taught by like your racist uncle saying the N word behind your
Yeah, it's
friend's
everything.
back.
It's
It's
pop culture.
Yeah,
It's
it's
how music.
policing,
It's
it's
everything. Yeah.
education, it's media. Yeah, absolutely.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. That was great.
Sorry.
Love that. This is going to be a short little debate night, but I think we hit some great topics, and I think we have some great things to follow up on. Fucking next week, get ready for mandatory eunuchs. Apparently, I have no idea. Yeah,
Yes.
it's great seeing
Yeah.
all the
Sorry.
regulars here.
Yeah,
Seeing you all.
including Day. Sorry about that, y'all. She's not feeling well. It's like
True.
2:30 in the morning my way, so she should not be here or she should not be awake. So sorry about having a special guest tonight.
We should totally do some fucking like themed debate nights or some shit. I was not expecting a bring your kid debate night for tonight.
Yeah,
But yeah,
Ulysses is holding it down. Thank you, sir.
all right. Thank you, everyone. Thanks everyone for coming. If you have a topic or some shit, we have a debate channel and stuff. But oh yeah, fucking that's gonna be a fire one next week. All right, and also yeah, special
Yeah.
appearance from Kai. Okay, wasn't expecting that, but
Yeah,
always
thanks.
lovely to see. All right, that's all for tonight.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.